I'm going to be holding this red rock. So that's the energy we'll be using right now. And I want to first say blessings to everybody. Blessings to everybody. Let's just all take a deep breath. And our intention is to really connect with the spiritual vortexes. There are various spiritual vortexes on the planet, and we are in one of them. And there's a reason why the indigenous people here were so respectful of the land, because they were tapped into this beautiful, powerful energy, an interdimensional vortex of light. So there's always been sacred places upon the earth because of its interdimensionality, or the ability to be in a space where you're more apt to have that interdimensional experience. So just real briefly, when I was here a couple of years ago, it was my first time to Sedona. It came about in a very miraculous way. It had to do with the Arcturians, and I had no idea that things were being orchestrated at the level that it was. But suffice to say that I found myself in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is close to Sedona. Happened to meet a person there on Facebook who I didn't know, but she was offering tours. I got in contact with her. Could she do a personal tour? She did. And one of the places we went to, we did like 3 days worth of stuff in a day. And I went to Bell Rock, and coming back, I was hit with such an energy. I almost toppled over. I had to hold my balance. So that was a real experience, shot me to a whole nother level being here. So let me tell you about the land, touching the land, and receiving from the land. Why are we traveling to these places? Just stop and think. Why are people climbing up mountains or forging through rivers? And like, if you want to go to some ancient sites, or the information is stored in bone and stone. So when you are called to go to certain places and put your hand on a rock, on Mother Earth, okay, not only are you being activated, but you're also activating. It's two ways. It's to be activated and to activate. So important, that even in your local area, even touching a tree, there is a two-way communication coming in. And when you're vibrating from unconditional love, higher service, it takes up to a higher octave. So you just become one with everything. You just understand oneness in a very profound level. And I feel that, this oneness experience, that we're all here. I was told that the internet, the platform that we have now, where people from all over can tune in if they want to, okay, is reflective of the fifth dimension. We're no longer are we inhibited by time or space. Anybody from anywhere can be here in this one moment of this eternal now and have that same experience. So that's very important to know, that we are absolutely moving forward, okay, into the ascension process. And as that happens, you are being activated on levels that you may not even be aware of, but believe me, you are. And with that is your intuitive sensing to know what you can do in that moment and where you are, to bring light that only you can do. Only you can do. Okay, so we're going to get started here now. And we could, my phone probably is down to zero. There's been interference, of course. We could play music. Okay, I'm going to play music when I can, with the two phones.
Then we can chant.
Okay, and we're going to chant too. But I want to go into this meditation. Okay, this is good. So just visualize yourself. Why? Because there's no space and time. I just went through that. We are actually most of us are in the fifth dimension who's listening to this, walking in a third dimensional world, but we are fifth dimensional already. So the very thought of wherever you are and where we are right now, we can choose to say, you know what? I'm going to be there. I'm going to tap into that Bell Rock Sedona energy. We're united by hearts and minds, so it's already done. So everybody's going to be feeling the experience of this vortex of light. So I'm going to start with a prayer, and then after I do the prayer, I want us to do a couple of chants. Of course, our Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. And we'll see what comes after that, and then we'll go into the transmission. That will be the plan. Our intention, of course, is that we come as the family of light, the children of light upon the earth. We are clear that we are aligned with the eternal, limitless light known as the Ein Sof. We are clear that we are one with the eternal Father, eternal Mother, the El Elyon, the God of gods, the King of kings. So we are very clear in what we align with. We are always divinely protected as we chant these names of God, as our intentions are pure and clear. And if there is interference, we have it within us to just move right on through, which is what we do with ease and grace. So let us start with Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Just follow along. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. Yod He Vod He, Yod He Shin Vod He, Shekinah. I would like us to simply chant Yod He Vod He. Yod He Vod He, the ineffable. It cannot even be pronounced. Vowels have to be put in the name of the eternal Father. Yod He Vod He, 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 Yod hey bod hey, Yod hey bod hey. And one more we will do for the Divine Mother that has made her presence here. Ima Shekinah, 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 Ima Shekinah. Everybody take a very deep breath in. Spirit is here. Brilliant. Making its divine sacred presence known. Already the very breath that you breathe, the very oxygen that moves in and through your lungs and out into your physical body. It is also prana for the emotional and subtle body. It is tinged with this purity and of an overlaying, mothering energy of unconditional love. There is a divine recognition from the higher levels of this divine sacred feminine that is pouring in this moment. All during our experience here has been her presence to say that we, the children of the earth who have not forgotten, that one of the key dynamics that became apparent as you came into this world, into a world where your cosmic memory has been skewed, where the very innocence of your childhood had already begun a great layering of Maya, of the physical, mental, and emotional world. But you have that essence, that tone, that frequency that holds your divine guidance and pathway to bring perfect balance upon the earth. And in bringing in this perfect balance upon the earth is the resurrection and the beginning of the amplification of the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother who comes with grace and with creation and boundless love to keep the sacred power of the divine masculine, to bring the two polarities into the higher one point of the divine Trinity. It is the divine Trinity, that high point, that capstone of the meeting places of the gods, the meeting places of our higher selves and the multidimensional selves of who and what we are, that capstone to hold the polarities into balance. And so it is that we point now our great divine creative power and intention to see a pyramidal form, tetrahedral in its design. And upon it is its highest capstone, and that capstone is gold. It is a golden capstone with precious gold and see the light shine upon it as in ancient times. And we start off with this tetrahedron and see the tetrahedron very clear. It's a three-sided pyramid and a capstone. And see now under that, the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is a four-sided triangular geometry. And it too has that capstone. So you see the tetrahedron of three in that sacred pyramidal form. And you also see underneath it on the earth plane, the picture of the Egyptian pyramid that everyone knows of, the Great Pyramid. See this clearly. See this clearly, for this is very powerful, powerful work. Breathe with intention. Breathe in this sacred space that you find yourself in. Breathe in the air that is coming now from Bell Rock to you. Breathe in the light energy that is flowing in as Divine Mother heating and heading the way. Breathe in the sacred geometries that are flowing in through the sacred breath. Breathe in the enlightened codes and the history and wisdom of Bell Rock, for it holds many, many answers. Breathe in the sacredness of this moment, knowing that as we do, as we are connected through heart and mind with no time barriers, no space barriers, no barriers whatsoever, but to be in the free flowing light stream of the ascended realms of light, this portal of light opened over Bell Rock and the surrounding areas where you find yourself tapped into this divine sacred grace that flows in from the mother on the highest levels, bringing in the tetrahedron pyramid with the golden capstone underneath it, the pyramid of Giza, the Great Pyramid. Under this tetrahedron, the four-sided pyramid, it too with a golden capstone as in ancient days. And in ancient days, there was the more balance, the perfect balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. But corruption came in, distortions came in. And so we are here to clear any residue of distortions or blockages from bringing in the higher divine trinity of Yod-He Vod-He, Yod-He Shin Vod-He, and divine Shekinah, the movement and presence of God in its feminine form, to bring the rising of the Shekinah, the rising of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the divine Holy Spirit, to move that throughout the land and where you find yourself, throughout the world, this power now expanding in each and every sacred in-breath and out-breath that we take. And as we breathe this sacred air, this blessed air, this air that is full of grace, each breath heals us deeply. Each and every holy, sacred in-breath and out-breath is a blessing from Creator, from love, from limitless light. And so this breath takes on new meaning as we breathe it and we exhale it. And as the energy vortex of this interdimensional place, we find ourselves with the energies of Bell Rock, being able to identify those who walk upon the path with a higher heart of compassion and higher service. For it's only how in those conditions must be met for this experience to take place. And here, beloveds, we are given a very specific job to do. As Divine Mother from the highest levels, now called down to Divine Mother as in Pachamama. Pachamama for our earth, and we start with the pyramids built upon the earth in the area of Egypt, the Great Pyramid, but also this activates all the myriad of pyramids around the world, most unknown, most unseen. But our planet was populated with pyramids because of the higher tetrahedron that came from the upper worlds, the divine trinity of creation. The divine trinity of creation is the creation we are in. And so that top capstone, okay, that's been missing as a result of the lower frequency and the vibration and the fall, is needing the one to come back now in its original form, to keep the two polarities that continually to go up and down, extreme polarities that causes confusion and war and separation. It needs to be anchored into the higher capstone of its original construction and purpose. And so, beloveds, as you breathe this grace that flows in readily, as you receive and remember the promise to the Divine Mother to help her presence upon the earth, our own Terra, our own Gaia, our own Earth Mother. And as we love and respect our mothers, we bring back that mother has always been a guiding light to us, and she guides us now. She guides us now to bring in the higher level, the higher frequencies that we are now in an interdimensional portal of light and unconditional love. Feel it and sense it as it whirls around you like a whirlwind. It whirls around you. This powerful vortex whirling around each individual and all of us as a collective. And in this whirlwind of light that has been created, we see that there are those who join us, Divine Mother overshadowing, but all the masters of light, all of the expressions of the divine coming together in higher service of the limitless light, unconditional love, of great healing and progression in our evolution upon this earth. And as this vortex continues to move around us, as we find our body settling in to this energy that presents itself, as we hold in our spiritual eye and see that the trinity of the tetrahedron that's in the ethereal planes, if you can picture that, with the capstone of the brightest golden light that is a billion suns, and it hovers right over the great pyramid of Egypt. And as it does that, all other trinities and the expression of trinities and pyramids are also activated. So they're activated wherever you are. There is a pyramid energy not that far away. And so we are going to come together in the re-remembering of who we are as the children of light that holds great power, great co-creation with the divine. And we now visualize clearly that ethereal tetrahedron pyramid with the golden light. It comes from the upper worlds. It comes from the highest celestial realms of light. And as we see that clearly being formed over the Great Pyramid of Giza, which the Great Pyramid is as it was in its greatest days of glory, a magnificent and brilliant light, for it held a capstone of great light. And as we can travel through the past, the present, and the future, we are being here now asked to recreate in our spiritual eye the divine Trinity. Yod-He Vod-He, Yod-He Shin Vod-He, Shekinah. 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 And now we see as this higher divine Trinity, representative of our own creation, which is a trinity of powers. As even in the blue, the yellow, and the pink rays, we have the Father, the Son, and the Mother. And as we acknowledge the divine Trinity, as we now acknowledge that we now place the divine Shekinah, the divine Mother, the Ruach HaKodesh, the divine Goddess, the priestess, the divine feminine, is now poured into that capstone that is upon the Great Pyramid of Egypt. We pour the divine Trinity, holding each place. Where it's weakest is in the divine feminine. And so you strengthen that by your intention, and we put her at the top of this pyramid, that she can receive the higher thought forms and the divine grace of the divine Mother coming in from the tetrahedron, from the higher worlds of that gold capstone, and see clearly in your spiritual eye a ray of that golden, brilliant light now coming into the capstone of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. See clearly the infusion of this divine grace flowing in as the overshadowing of Divine Mother, to bring the two polarities into balance as she comes with a higher anchor to create the balance of the polarities. And all the while in the understanding that the divine is expressed in boundless ways. The creation is boundless. In this divine Trinity, there is always the understanding that it is all connected and it is all one. To bring in the divine balance, the higher thought forms of unconditional love and the limitless light. That as we hold now within ourselves, we now, under the Great Pyramid of Giza, there is now a third capstone being developed. See clearly the first capstone of the tetrahedron. See that light come into the capstone of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, representing all pyramids around the world. And now, we walk into the center, into the middle of the king's and queen's chamber. And we find ourselves in the perfect balance between these chambers, wherever that may be within the Great Pyramid. We think it, and therefore it is so. And we are like a reconnecting rod, for we are holding the capstone above our heads. See above your crown chakra, this pyramidal light, this capstone of light that originates from the tetrahedron divine trinity of the upper worlds, coming in through to the mother, through the Great Pyramid of Giza. And now all of us within this pyramid, holding between the chamber of the queen and the chamber of the king, we are in the exact position we need to be to hold this capstone within our kether, our crown chakra. So clearly we see 1, 2, 3 capstones of light shining brilliantly and radiating beyond our conception or understanding as to where this energy of light goes. And as we see this symmetry of the 3 golden capstones, the original creation, the original trinity of all things, the original Garden of Eden, we now see this coming back into place, strengthening the areas that have gotten weakened or broken. Now beginning to create this new mandala, to bring the divine feminine, to bring Earth Mother, to bring Pachamama, Gaia, and Terra into alignment with the other divine archetype frequencies that come in, that creates balance, unconditional love, and compassion. So we experience and we do this work very definitively, very clearly, and very engaged. For this is work that is a blessing and honoring, to reconstruct, to bring back balance upon the earth of the divine feminine and the divine masculine as it once was before separation, before illusion, before miscreations, and before delusions. When humanity spoke with the gods and the gods spoke with humanity, when things were symbiotic and balance was in its perfection, we hold this intention. We hold it in the timelessness of time, of when that was created, when that was, when humans remembered the sacredness of the earth and spoke to her. We see her in her most pristine, balanced way, her purity of heart, her willingness of her soul to be that, to serve for others, the creation and evolution of their continued growth and expansion. And so we now come here upon this red rock where we all find ourselves, breathing in this divine grace that flows in from the upper worlds, the overshadowing of the divine mother, to create that balance once again upon the sacred earth of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, to be held in the higher point contact of that capstone, to bring the stability once again, to bring the balance once again into perfection of what the Earth Mother is, and for all her life upon the earth. So we breathe with intention as we experience the capstone upon our Kether, our crown, moving down to where our 2 feet are the 2 points of the dualities. But they can stand and be perfect because they're anchored by the capstone above the head. And as we grow this frequency, and as this spiral of light continues, now no longer noticeable because we are vibing into this divine frequency, will continue to elevate as we continue to breathe in and out the sacred in breath and out breath. Our power and our resilience comes in. Our sense of purpose and promise moves in. We being here in this moment for our divine Earth Mother, for our beautiful Pachamama, Gaia and Terra, that she, through the archetype of the Divine Mother on the highest realms of light, from beyond the paradise worlds and the worlds of great crystalline light, comes this gift here to the children of the earth to use to help Earth Mother see again clearly the higher thought form of a tetrahedron and the capstone that is boundless and endless and impossible to describe, for the light that is hold is beyond description. But we see that ray of light coming into the capstone again. As we look, we see the capstone in Giza more brilliant than it even was, as it's energized with the higher tetrahedron of light. And now we, inside the great temple between the Queen's chamber and the King's chamber, holding the perfect balance as the capstones become reignited, become realigned, become repurposed, become re-engaged, become reactive. And in this perfect moment, as we feel the energies now moving in and through us, as we now hold this sacred gematria, this sacred geometry, this sacred mandala, as we hold the divine Trinity, engage it and hold sacred space, keep our positions, and hold the frequency of highest service through unconditional love. Unconditional love for our Earth Mother, of who she is and all she has done and what she is willing to do. That we can bring upon those life forms upon the earth once again in a re-remembering as to how it was and how it can be. To bring the 2 polarities into balance by holding the higher capstone of the divine Trinity, the divine creation of this world. And so simply now, beloveds, with the myriads of all sentient ones of radiant light that have heard our call and that are here on behalf of us and also on behalf of our Earth Mother and for our Divine Mother. All the very glory of heaven and grace is here in this moment. There is a great rejoicing. There is a great sense of optimism and hope and faith, because there are those who are willing and can do this work as they remember who they are as powerful creations upon this earth. And so simply by intending to bring balance, to bring into our visual the higher thought form that comes to us, by pouring out our unconditional love for all life, for us to work on being in balance, because we will then by help in the collective unconscious. As we can come from the higher capstone of the neutral observer holding the polarities in balance. The neutral observer holding the polarities in balance. The neutral observer holding the polarities in balance. This is the request of Divine Mother. This is the request of Divine Mother. This is the request of Divine Mother for Sacred Mother, our Earth, and all the mother and feminine energies throughout the multiverse. We continue these few moments here now as the energy continues to pour in, as it continues to circle and expand us in our consciousness, in our unfoldment, as the capstone above our heads becomes more radiant and grows as it receives that ray of light that comes from the highest capstone of the tetrahedron of the upper worlds to the capstone in the Great Pyramid of Egypt and all pyramids upon the earth, to us, the children of the earth, the children of light, who have not forgotten. This ray of transcendent light flows in through our Kether, our great crowns of light, holding this pyramid of light. And as we bathe ourselves in it, it is so profound, it just moves where we are in our space. And it moves out in all directions upon the physical, mental, and emotional bodies of our Earth Mother. And as it moves out, it moves deep within her crust. And it moves deep within her body into the waters and into all the life forms, known and unknown to us, that live and are and be in her body on all the many levels. And we now understand that we can move through a timeline that is less off balance, and we can start to create balance now, at the very minimum, impact it. And so we find ourselves in this energy where we are the capstone that brings forth the pathway to balance. See clearly a clear triangle, and see in your mind's eye the pyramid of light at the top, and see as a visual on the pathways, of which there's two, one on the right and one on the left, go to the polarities on either side of each other, and then connect on the bottom in the middle. So you see this light moving like lightning up through the two pathways and down across the bottom. Let's do this in a clockwise, starting from the left up to the crown chakra, holding the divine capstone of light, down to the right foot and across. See that energy now beginning to move in and through you and begin to radiate out, out, out into all creation. Send that to the mineral kingdom, to the crystals, to the very rocks. For they remember and they get activated and do send your imprint upon the mineral kingdom Send it to the crystals that you have in your home. Send it to the rocks that are around where you walk. Send it to the mineral kingdom, this electric trinity energy that has now been procreated. And as you see this electric going into this 3 pyramidal energy, how it looks to us, it looks different in other realms, but that's what we use as our visual now. As we send the highest of the thought form of the divine trinity coming from the upper worlds in that capstone, sending it to the mineral kingdom. And we see this duplicates itself with the same energy, the same source, and we bring it to the plant kingdom. We bring it to the genesis of the plant kingdom. As it was, it can be again. That all the symbiotic relationships upon the plant kingdom of the mighty trees to the smallest blade of grass have been great teachers and give great medicine. We send this divine trinity activation of light to the plant kingdom. And we send our love to the plant kingdom. And we send this energy of light that all corruption in the plant and the mineral kingdom cease, 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 cease now. That the reemergence of the divine feminine brings in the sacredness of the plants, the sacredness of the crystals, the sacredness of the land. And we bring this energy vortex now with this trinity of light into the animal kingdom. And we send forth balance within the animal kingdom, and we hold a tether between animal kingdom and human kingdom for all the miscreations, distortions, and abuse that has taken place in the animal kingdom. We send the trinity of light, the reactivation of the capstone of the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the mineral kingdom. And finally, we bring our power, our intention, fully engaged in bringing forth the very capstone that we hold upon our heads now into this geometry of trifold light, like lightning, coming from the upper worlds, and put it upon the human consciousness of the human kingdom. We put it into the consciousness of the human kingdom. We put it into the astral plane of the human kingdom. We work in both the third and fourth dimensions of the human kingdom. We see it moving and bringing forth and discarding those blockages, those lower thought forms, those abuses, miscreations, and service to self agendas to cease, 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 to cease. For the family of light is here. And as the family of light upon the earth awaken and open up to the higher dimensional realms of light that can come in more directly, so too all of the tools of unconditional love and perfect balance. And so one more time, we see this Trinity light moving in the third and fourth dimensions of human consciousness, known and unknown. That all that is not of the light, all attachments and blockages, all distortions and miscreations must cease. They must cease now. They must cease. They must cease now. And as we now find ourselves in this perfect peace, as we hold and we remember the great power that we hold to activate and bring light and love upon the planet and for all of her life, to bring in the engagement of the divine feminine, to bring in the perfect balance, but to be held by the higher capstone of light, to truly repair our Trinity in all ways, in all dimensions, and in all levels. And with this now, we sense the time to return is upon us. And as we look at the Trinity lightning that has moved all around the planet in all of the kingdoms, and as we take a look again at the capstone upon our head that is in alignment with the capstone in Egypt and all pyramids, and that Egypt and all pyramids now become once again reconnected to the higher capstone of the divine Trinity. The blue, yellow, and pink flame, Yod-He, Yod-He Shin Bod-He, Shekinah. And now we just feel the energy one more time in this moment with grateful hearts that we could be of service. We are humbled. We are honored. We thank you for divine grace to pour through us to do this work. As we serve, we are benefited beyond measure for our own healing, our own growth, enlightenment, and unfolding. And so we take deep breaths now. For all those who have participated, begin to withdraw and draw in their electromagnetic field. We draw in ours. We intend to be back awake and alert in our physical bodies where we find ourselves on the count of 3. 1, 2, take a deep breath in. And 3, we are back. We are awake, alert, and we are grounded.